Can we start now?
Yeah.
Are we live already?
We are live, Prabhu.
Okay, all right. So I guess we could do it again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, text number 9. Yesham Vibharmi Aham Akandha Vikuntha Yogamaya Vibhutihi Amala Anghri Rajaha Kiritaihi Vipran Tu Kaha Na Vishaheta Yat Arhana Ambaha Sadhyaha Punati Saham Chandralalama Lokan Yesham Bibharmyaham Yesham Bibharmyaham Akhanda Vikunta Yoga
Yesham Bibarmyaham Akanda Vikunta Yoga.
Maya Vibhutiramalang Rajah Kiritaihi
Maya Vibhutira Malangri Raja Kiritai.
Viprams Tukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanam Bham
Viprams tu Kona Vishaheta Yadarhanambaha.
Sadhyav Punati Saha Chandralamalokan
Yapunati Saha Chandralalamalokan.
Yesham Bibharmyaham Akanda Vikuntha Yoga
Yesham Bibarmyaham Akanda Vikunta Yoga.
Maya Vibhutiramalang Rajah Kiritaihi
Vibhutira Malangri Raja Kiritai.
Viprams Tukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanam Bham
Viprams tu Kona Vishaheta Yadarhanamba.
Sadhyav Punati Saha Chandralamalokan
Yapunati Saha Chandralalamalokan.
Yesham Bhivarmyaham Akanda Vikuntha Yoga
Vivarmyaham Akanda Vikunta Yoga.
Maya Vibhutiramalang Rajah Kiritaihi
Vibhutir Alalangri Rajakiritai.
Viprams Tukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanam Bham
Viprams tu Kona Vishaheta Yadarhanamba.
Sadhyav Punati Saha Chandralamalokan.
Yapunati Saha Chandralalamalokan.
Please repeat.
Yesham Bibar Yahamakanda Vikunta Yoga.
Yesham Bibharmyaham Akanda Vikuntha Yoga
Maya Vibhutir Amalangri Rajakiritai.
Maya Vibhutiramalang Rajakiritai
Viprams tu Kona Vishaheta Yad Arhanambaha.
Vipram Sukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanam Baham
Sadhya Punati Saha Chandralalamalokan.
Sadhyav Punati Sahachandala Malokan
Yesham Bharmya Aham Akhanda Vikunta Yoga
Yesham Bibharmyaham Akanda Vikuntha Yoga
Maya Vibhutir Amalangri Raja Kiritai
Maya Vibhutiramalang Rajah Kiritaihi
Vipram Sukona Vishaheta Yadarhanambaha
Viprams tu
Ramsukona Vishaheta Yad Arhanam Baham
Sadhya Punati Sahachanjala Lama Lokam.
Sadhyav Punati Sahachandala Malokan. Anyone else, Prabhujis? Anyone else? No? Okay. All right. Yesham
Yesham
of the Brahmanas.
the
of the
Brahma,
Brahmanas.
Bibharmi
Vibharmi,
I bear.
I bear.
Aham
Aham,
I.
I.
Right.
Akandha
Akanda,
unbroken.
Unbroken.
Vikuntha
Vaikuntha,
unobstructed.
Unobstructed.
Yoga Maya
Maya.
internal energy.
Internal energy.
Vibhutihi
Vibhuti,
Buddhi.
opulence.
Abhi,
Opulence.
Amala
Amala,
pure.
pure.
Yoga.
Angri
Angry,
of the feet.
Feet.
Rajaha
Raja,
the dust.
the dust.
Kiritaihi
Tahi.
on my helmet.
On my helmet.
Vipran
Vipran,
the Brahmanas.
The Brahmanas.
To
to
Who
them.
then
Kaha
Kaha,
who.
who.
Na
Na,
not.
not
Vishaheta
Vishahita,
carry.
hearing.
Yet
Yet,
yet
of the Supreme Lord.
for the Supreme Lord.
Arhana Ambaha
the
water which has washed the feet.
water washed the feet.
Sadhyaha
Satya,
at once.
at one.
Punati
Not,
Namaste.
sanctifies.
Thank you.
Saha
Saha,
along with.
along with
Chandralama
Chanjala,
Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva,
Worship.
Lokan
Come.
the three worlds.
the
Three
three
words.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. That water sanctifies the three worlds along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? Purport. The difference between internal and external energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is that in the internal energy or in the spiritual world, all opulences are undisturbed, whereas in the external or material energies, all the opulences are temporary manifestations. The Lord's supremacy is equal in both the spiritual and material worlds, but the spiritual world is called the kingdom of God, and the material world is called the kingdom of Maya. Maya refers to that which is not actually fact. The opulence of the material world is a reflection. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that this material world is just like a tree whose roots are up and branches are down. This means that the material world is a shadow of the spiritual world. Real opulence is in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, the predominating deity is the Lord Himself, whereas in the material world, there are many lords. That is the difference between the internal and external energies. The Lord says that although He is a predominating factor of the internal energy, and although the material world is sanctified just by the water that has washed His feet, He has the greatest respect for the Brahmana and the Vaishnava. When the Lord offers so much respect to the Vaishnava and the Brahmana, how can one deny such respect to such personalities? Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shretaf Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Thagan Lalita Shri Vishakan Vatamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namane Harijana Gana Bhari Jnana Karmandahari Prakritita Para Bhaktir Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi Vinaya Nikara Lakshmir Nimna Mede Ragamyo Bhuvi jayate vikaso bhakti purvo yatendra. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshtarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Shivakshisi Yasyase Hridaya Samvet Tam Nrsimham Aham Bhaje Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karti vachalam pangum bangayate girim yat kripatamaham vande. Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Yashideve Parabhaktir Yata Deve Tata Guru Tasyate Gatita Yarta Prakashanti Mahatmanaha. We're reading the section of Srimad Bhagavatam where the Supreme Lord is explaining to us the glories of his devotees, and there's many amazing points in this verse, and we could go on. We could start by just going over the purport and going over the verse just the way Srila Prabhupada has structured it, because Srila Prabhupada has a particular way of structuring his purports and all that in a way that I'm forgetting the exact Sanskrit, but the way he structures and every purport, you say that he makes his point and his conclusion in every purport is so amazing that it cannot be defeated. I'm forgetting the exact Sanskrit word for it, but Srila Prabhupada, does this. So I'm seeing over here one thing, Ganga water. Okay. So Prabhupada says, Krishna says, I am the master of unobstructed internal energy, and the Ganges and the water of the Ganges is remnant of the remnant left after my feet are washed. So we see Krishna is the master of the Hladini Shakti. Krishna is saying this, he's the master of the Hladini Shakti. Was that Parasya Shakti Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha, that we see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a master of all the energies, especially the internal energy. He's a master. He's the master of Shri. He's a master of the goddess of fortune. Right? That's why he's saying this over here. Where is this Yoga Maya? Yeah, he's saying Akhanda, he says, yeah, Yesham Bibarmyaham Akhanda Vikuntha Yoga. So he's saying that he is the master of the unbroken, unobstructed internal energy of the Supreme energy of himself. So we see that Krishna is said to be, or Krishna is the master of the internal and external energies, but what makes the difference between the internal and external energies is that the internal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the internal energy of Krishna, is not affected by time. Srila Prabhupada has said to us many times that in the spiritual world, time is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. And because the destructive nature of time does not exist in the spiritual world, there is no question of things being temporary. The temporary nature of the things in the material world is there because of the nature of time. The minute time starts, that from that time destruction starts. That is why Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, he gave a class, not a class, he gave 16 classes on this word called Sanat, which basically means time. It's the name of Lord Vishnu called Sanat, which means time. And in that, many phenomenal points were made, of course, but the main point being that the time is the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that everyone has to bow down to no matter what. Everyone has to bow down to time, Krishna in the form of time. That whether one may be an atheist, one may be a theist, one may be a Mayavadi, I mean, basically atheist, that's what a Mayavadi is. One may be whoever they are, they all have to bow down to the dictates of time. Time is something that once it's gone, it can never come back. So everything in the material world that we are seeing is that everything in the material world is disturbed by the influence of time. Everything in the material world is influenced by is disturbed by the influence of time. Therefore, material or external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they're all temporary manifestations. They're all temporary manifestations. And because of their temporary nature, they don't have enough time to improve, right? They don't have enough time to to reach perfection. Nothing material can actually reach perfection unless used in the service of the Supreme Lord. So, in the kingdom of Maya, Prabhupada says, in the kingdom of Maya, everything which is there is not actually a fact. The opulence of the material world is a reflection of the opulence of the spiritual world. We are seeing this, that Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita that this material world is a reflection, is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So whatever is going on in the spiritual world, the exact opposite is going on in the material world. In the spiritual world, everything is in one order. Why? Because everyone identifies the supremacy of one supreme control. Whereas in the material world, people don't accept the supremacy of one controller. That's why Srila Prabhupada says in this purport that there are many lords, right? There are many lords with a small l. So because there's so many people who are trying to control material energy like this and that, they're trying to be the lords and masters of so many things. That is why, there's so many elements which destroy the opulence of the material world. Oh, one may think, oh, I'm living in such and such a city, it's so nice. But then the neighbor, your enemy, is envious of you, and then he wants to come and destroy your kingdom and take away your opulence from you. We can see the opulence of Vedic knowledge was removed from India by the religion of peace people, right? So many of these coming, looting, looting, looting. And the British came, they looted, looted, looted. And then you can see that this opulence is chanchala. That's the whole point. That's a very important point. That Shri or Lakshmi Devi, she is known as chanchala. And chanchala means she's never in one place at a particular time. And because she's not in one place at a particular time, she's always going from one place to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. That's why Lakshmi is known as chanchala. And because no one in this material world is fit to be the master of the goddess of fortune, no one has a qualification, right? We can see in the eighth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where there's the churning of the milk ocean, and then from the churning of the milk ocean, oops, sorry, something is going on here. Okay. So we see in the churning of the milk ocean, so many phenomenal, amazing things are coming out. That's very nice. But then the most amazing thing which is coming out actually is the goddess of fortune. She is the one who comes out. And in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, okay, thereafter, the Mother Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, having properly celebrated with an auspicious ritualistic ceremony, began moving about, holding in her hand a garland of lotus flowers, which were surrounded by humming bumblebees. Smiling with shyness, her cheeks decorated by earrings, she looks extremely beautiful. I'm sure everyone knows about this pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Okay. So now we see her two breasts were symmetrical and nicely situated, were covered with sandalwood pulp and kumkuma powder, and her waist was very thin. As she walked here and there, her ankle bells jingling softly, she appeared like a creeper of gold. While walking among the Gandharvas, Yakshas, Asuras, Siddhas, Sharanas, and the denizens of heaven, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, was scrutinizingly examining them, but she could not find anyone endowed with all good qualities. None of them was devoid of faults. Therefore, she could not take shelter of any of them. Now, let's examine the purport that Srila Prabhupada writes here because it is very applicable to today's verse. Uh, she examined, yeah, there you go. She examined every one of the candidates, but she could not find anyone suitably qualified to be her shelter. In other words, Narayana, the natural husband of Lakshmi, cannot be superseded by anyone in the material world. Right? That's clear. Now look at the next verse. Nunam tapo yasya manu nirajyo jnanam kvachitachna sanga varjitam kashin mahamstasya nakama nirjayaha sa ishwaram kim parato vyapashrayah. Important. The goddess of fortune, examining the assembly, thought in this way: someone who has undergone great austerity has not yet conquered anger. Someone who possesses knowledge but has not conquered material desires. Someone is a very great personality, but he cannot conquer lusty desires. Even a great personality depends on something else. How then can he be the supreme controller? Here is an attempt to find the supreme controller Ishvara. Everyone, this is an important point. Why am I reading this purport? Because this section, because Sri Prabhupada in this purport that we are reading currently, he speaks about, uh, yeah, there you go. In the spiritual world, the predominating deity is the Lord Himself. Whereas in the material world, there are many lords, right? Where you can see this here, lowercase lords. So you see here, Jai Prabhupada is saying the same thing. Here is an attempt to find the supreme controller, Ishvara. Everyone may be accepted as an Ishvara or controller, but such controllers are controlled by others. Boom, bingo, that's the point. There are so many controllers are there in the material world, but they're all controlled by someone else, right? Anyway, we can realistically, Krishna is also controlled by Srimati Radharani. That is on the platform of Rasa Tattva. But that's Rasa Vichar. But from the aspect of Tattva Vichar, we can understand this. Krishna is supreme controller. For example, one may have undergone several austerities, severe austerities, but is still under the control of anger. By a scrutinizing analysis, here's the point, right? By scrutinizing analysis, we find that everyone is controlled by something else. No one, therefore, can be the true controller but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. This is supported by the Shastras. Ishvara of Parama Krishnas. The Supreme Controller is Krishna. Krishna is never controlled by anyone, for he is the controller of everyone. Sarva Karana Karanam. And now let's look at the verse after this. Someone may possess full knowledge, but still not be kind to all living entities. In someone, whether human or demigod, there may be renunciation, but that is not the cause of liberation. Someone may possess great power, and yet that's the point. Boom, look at that. Someone may possess great power and yet be unable to check the power of eternal time, right? That's the point we started off our class with. Someone may have renounced attachment to the material world, yet he cannot compare to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, no one is completely free from the influence of material nature, right? And I don't want to overextend on this point. How can we ever overextend on this point? But anyway, there's many amazing points in this part, but I want to go on to the next one. Someone may have longevity. See, why are we reading all this? Because we are reading all this to understand the nature of time, the nature of the influence of the modes of material nature on living entities, and the Ishvara that Srila Prabhupada is speaking about. Whatever we're speaking about, we're simply breaking down line by line by line by line. So we're just trying to understand the difference between the external and the internal potency of the Supreme Lord, the energy, who is the Lord, who is time, what is material energy, and what is the influence of time. So someone may have longevity but not have auspiciousness or good behavior. Someone may have both auspiciousness and good behavior, but the duration of life is not fixed. Although such demigods as Lord Shiva have eternal life, they have inauspicious habits like living in crematoriums. And even if others are well qualified in all respects, they are not devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Wow, amazing. Shukadeva Goswami continued. In this way, after full deliberation, the goddess of fortune accepted Mukunda as her husband. Although he is independent and in not want of her, he possesses all transcendental qualities and mystic power and is therefore most desirable. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, is self sufficient. Since he is fully independent, he is not in want of the support or association of Lakshmi Devi. Nonetheless, Lakshmi Devi accepted him as her husband. Right? Approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Goddess of Fortune, placed upon his shoulders the garland of newly grown lotus flowers, which were surrounded by humming bumblebees searching for honey. Then, expecting to get a place in the bosom of the Lord, she remained standing by his side, her face smiling in shyness. There you go. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Father of the three worlds, and his bosom is the residence of Mother Lakshmi, the Goddess of Fortune, the proprietor of all opulences. The Goddess of Fortune, by a favorable and merciful glance, can increase the opulence of the three worlds, along with their inhabitants and their directors. So this is the point, right? That even this, see, now we can just understand here. This is the point we were making. Uh, the karmis try to receive the favor and mercy of Lakshmi. But because they are not devotees of Narayana, their opulence is flickering. The opulence of devotees who are attached to the service of Narayana is not like the opulence of karmis. The opulence of devotees is permanent, whereas as the opulence of Narayana himself. Right? That's the whole point we've been reading here in this purport. There you go. In the spiritual world, all the opulences are undisturbed. That's the point. So we should understand these points. We must do deliberation upon these points. Actually, we must deliberate upon the importance of these points mentioned in Shastra, mentioned in Srila Prabhupada's purports. So we are seeing that in this material world, so many things are always being disturbed because everyone is trying to fight for the favor of the goddess of fortune. But in the process of them trying to get the favor of the goddess of fortune, they do not worship her master. And because her master is not being worshipped, she goes from one place to another. Again, like I was saying, therefore she is called Chanchala. But when a person worships her master, Chanchala Pati, when a person worships the master of Lakshmi Devi, then at that point of time, they have the eternal blessings of Lakshmi. And we see, yes, from the platform of Tattva Vichar, definitely this verse and purport that we were reading just now, we can see that, oh, Narayana is not in want of anything, he has everything, but still Lakshmi Devi decides to be his wife. Nice, that's very nice. But then we see on the platform of Rasa Vichar, we see even in the beginning of Ramayana, Valmiki Muni asked Narada, this important Narada Muni, this important question. He asks him, my dear Lord, who is that perfect person? He describes all the aspects of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one most defining aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that Valmiki asked Narada, so he asks, upon whom has the goddess of fortune bestowed her complete blessings? So we see that that also is there when we're speaking about Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, Sri Sri Lakshmi Narayana, Sri Sri Sitaram, Lakshman Hanuman, Rukmini Dwarkadish, when we're speaking about all of them, it's like we can take into consideration these other points also. So with this point, now we can see the next section of the purport where Srila Prabhupada is speaking about, yeah, in the spiritual world, the predominating deity is the Lord Himself. Okay, we just said that, yeah. That is the difference between both internal and external energies. The Lord says that He's a predominating factor of the internal energy, and although the material world is sanctified just by the water that washes Lotus feet, He has the greatest respect for the Brahmana and the Vaishnava. So now we see that Srila Prabhupada in this section of the Prabhupada is speaking about the water that sanctifies the world, right? So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 8th canto, chapter 21, text number 4, we can see the glories of the Ganges River. Okay, all right. So now we can look at this Prabhupada. This is a nice Prabhupada. It's a Prabhupada is translating what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written. He says, here we understand that the Ganges began when the water from Lord Brahma's Kamandalu washed the lotus feet of Lord Vamana Dev. But in the fifth canto, it is stated that the Ganges began when Vamanadev's foot pierced the covering of the universe, so that the transcendental water of the causal ocean leaked through. And elsewhere, it is also stated that Lord Narayana appeared as the water of the Ganges. The water of the Ganges, therefore, is a combination of three transcendental waters, and thus the Ganges is able to purify the three worlds. This is the description given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So that's pretty fired up. Man, that's pretty fired up. What is the Ganga? What is the Ganga? The Ganga is all these three things. And what are the three things? The three things are one, that the Ganga is a water that Lord Brahma put on the lotus feet of Lord Vamana. Then second is the water that flowed through the universe when Lord Vamana's toenail pierced the outer covering. And then the third is, it says here in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Ganga Devi, she is the incarnation. There you go. And elsewhere it is said the Lord Narayana appeared as the water of the Ganges. So these are all the three things that the Ganga is. right? So over here, this means, where is that? Yeah, yeah. The whole material world is sanctified just by the water that washed his lotus feet. Mm. But still, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying that he respects the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas very much. So why would we not respect them, right? So this is the humility of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He likes to really glorify his devotees, and we see in this glorification, he really means it. That when we actually come across someone who's very humble, then we are actually shocked. That it's easy for us to say, "Oh no, Prabhuji, I'm so fallen, Prabhuji," and all this. But when you actually meet devotees who have the qualities of humility as described in Shastra, then we will understand that wow, this is it's such an attractive feature actually. Yesterday we had the good fortune of talking to Yadunandan Prabhu, that 16-year-old devotee in Salem, right? And this devotee, he knows how to speak Sanskrit, like literally, he knows how to speak Sanskrit. He knows how to speak Hindi,
Polish.
Tamil,
Polish.
Polish, and English. And he can speak 5 languages. He's white bodied, completely white bodied, but he's like a white Tamil guy, basically. He just has like white skin, but he speaks just like Tamilians would speak English, and his English also is Indian English. you know you know where he was, we were talking to him, and I was listening to a class that he was giving. I was thinking, wow, let's see, I want to understand the glories of my spiritual master. So I was listening to these lectures given by these 15, I think it was 15 or 14, I don't know how old he was when he gave that class, but I was listening to some class that he gave, and it was so amazingly on point. So then I was asking, because I get envious when someone knows more shlokas than me. So I was asking them, hey, how many shlokas, He's like, Prabhu, around 500 from Bhagavad Gita and this. And I was saying that's amazing. And then I started quizzing him on the shlokas, and it was just amazing. He is qualified in every way. This person is, and they know they studied Sanskrit, and they're not just studying it. They even studied a text of Vedanta Deshika, which I've been wanting to study for the longest time. But like they have, I mean, so much knowledge, so materially qualified, from every perspective. But my Guru Maharaj is training, the Guru Maharaj is training in Salem to these devotees is so amazing that the first thing they're taught is that service attitude, that attitude of humility. That I was so amazed actually by the quality of humility. It's like it's so attractive actually. That real quality of humility that he was just not taking it. Sometimes when we go on books, especially when you're meeting some organizers or something, every time they walk by, every time we see them, we just glorify them, and then they just eat it up. Every time they eat it up. But then, you say that a devotee who's actually humble doesn't even pay any attention to any glorification that he receives. Any glory. I was just thinking, even if I had one of the qualities that this Prabhu had, he's only 16, I would have been like 50 million times more puffed up than I already am. I mean, I'm already so puffed up, but I would be so much more, you know. But that quality of humility is so amazing. It's so amazing, it's so attractive actually. It's so attractive. And the pure devotees, they can make other pure devotees, that Chintamani, that touchstone. They just they can meet people and they can make them into Vaishnavas. And I'm thinking, my God, Tapas Prabhu was telling me that all these Gurukulis, there's like what, five, six of them?
Yes,
Yeah, 6 or 7 of them. They all know Sanskrit. They all know so many slokas from Bhagavad Gita. They know this, that. They know so many things. They're so well behaved. They're so expert at playing mridanga, kartal, singing, cooking, all these things. Expert, all rounded.
yes.
In class, everything. They're expert in everything. These devotees are expert in everything. But still, Guru Maharaj is asking them to get married. If anyone is qualified to be a Naishtika Brahmachari, they are. You know, they are certainly qualified to be Naishtika Brahmachari. But then Guru Maharaj is asking them to get married. I was saying, why Guru Maharaj is asking them to get married? But why? Because they are fully sense control. That's one thing. Second thing is that Guru Maharaj is remembering Srila Prabhupada's prophecy that the grandchildren of his disciples will they will actually be able to produce fire just by chanting mantras. So, a bona fide spiritual, being a bona fide spiritual master that he has assimilated the desires of his own spiritual master, and he has been working on a 30-year-old project. This project is, it's these children are the fructification of a 30-year-old, 30 years of his project, and they have come out to be such amazing devotees. And then, to find, for them, I can't just, I can't understand, I I'm obsessed with this verse. I was teaching it to Tapas Prabhu yesterday, this ecstatic verse. I was even showing it to you Prabhu yesterday. This Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam grahnam eva cha. What's wrong with this thing, man? Okay. Yeah. Shrotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam grahnam eva cha. Adhishtayam manashayam vishayan upasevate. Okay. Okay. So let's look at this here. Maybe I can do it like this. So I've been looking at this verse a lot, and I've been contemplating this verse a lot actually. It is such an amazing verse. Krishna is helping us understand. Shrotram chakshusparshanam charasanam granam evacha adhishtaya manashayam vishayanupasevate. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Right? So I've been constantly contemplating the meaning of this verse a lot. And even yesterday we were talking about Vishwamitra Muni, and then he was asking about how that when they perform austerities, like Vishwamitra Muni, the result is so black and white, but it's not so black and white for us. And I was contemplating on this point more that we were speaking about yesterday also, is that okay, think about it like this, right? So now we've come into an era where phones are everywhere. Phones are everywhere. All the children have phones. And we can see that those who are growing up with these phones, most of the people that are growing up with the phones and with the laptops and with the television and all this, most of the children, most of the Gen Z or whatever we want to call them, they all have Comic Con Bhav, right? They have Comic Con Bhav because they just can't focus. They don't have that any attention. They don't have an attention span, and because of lacking attention, they just like they're unable to even function like a normal person, right? And then we can see you compare the mental health of these people compared to the mental health of people 30 years ago, right? Way better, way better. And then and then you can try to compare the mental health of the people who were living before televisions came about. Before televisions came about. Hmm? How much how pure just by not having television, just by not having phones, just by not having any of this nonsense, people's mind were not as contaminated as they are now. Right? And then you take it back 100 years, and you take it back 200 years, 400 years, and you can see the culture of India. You can see still something is left. When we go on Tirtha Yatra, we'll see still some culture is left. But Guru Maharaj says, oh, it's degrading so much. Guru Maharaj is saying, from his time, how much is degrading? Right? Then you go back 500 years, during the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How pure the consciousness of the people will be just because the atmosphere is not so contaminated. Now you take that back 5,000 years, or 5,500 years in the end of Dwapar Yuga. The entire atmosphere is so pure. We can see during Parikshit Maharaj's time, everyone was freaking out. Why? Because a Shudra was hurting one bull, just hurting one bull. Right? Just because of hurting everyone, all the sages, rishis, everybody is freaking out. Right? But now we're in an atmosphere complete, fully sinful. Everywhere you look, it's sinful. Right? Everyone is eating cow. So much cow slaughter. Right? You're driving across the country, you're driving past, and then sometimes from a distance you can just smell the activities of the slaughterhouse. You can just smell it. And you look, then you see, as far as meets the eye, the demons have captured cows. As far as meets the eye. And what are they doing with all these cows? killing them to eat them. So how contaminated this atmosphere is, how contaminated the atmosphere is. We cannot conceive actually how contaminated this atmosphere is. Hmm? So then you see, 5,000 years ago, everyone's freaking out that Parikshit Maharaj is butch. Parikshit Maharaj is about to kill a Shudra who's hurting a bull. Just one bull, everyone is freaking out, right? But then you can say before that, even the biggest demons they wouldn't kill cows. And why there's no mention. Sometimes by accident, maybe. Some I'm forgetting. I don't know if it's King Dilipa or somebody, right? We see in the Ramayana when Kaikeyi informs Bharata that Rama has been exiled. He asked her, "Why did he been exiled? Did he accidentally kill a brahmana or a cow? Why has he been exiled?" Right? Because it's just unheard of. We cannot imagine. Right? Then what to speak about the promiscuity? What to speak of the oversexed population? What to speak of the rampant atheism? What to speak of all this? Right? How it is completely contaminating the atmosphere of this world. Right? And then you go back to Satya Yuga, to Treta Yuga, where Vishwamitra Muni is performing his austerities. Right? How much more clear the atmosphere must be. How much more clear this, the consciousness of the people must be. How much more clear, right? But then, uh, even for him to be born as a king was like a super high level of karma. But then to go from a level of being a Raja to the platform of not just being a Rajarshi, a Maharshi, Devarshi, but to be a Brahmarshi, that itself is such a huge karmic jump for a person in one life. Right? And then Srila Prabhupada is telling us that just by distributing books for 3 days, that austerity is equivalent to 60,000 of years. Srila Prabhupada says like this: 60,000 of years of Vishwa Muni's austerities. So then the question comes, why don't we get these kind of immediate results? Well, the answer is simple. The answer is because we are such qualified living entities to have taken birth in Kali Yuga. We have acquired a certain type of a gross body, and we have a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. So we are and we are trying to enjoy a particular sense of set of sense objects. So we have like this battle going on within our minds and our hearts and all this about am I that simultaneously we're having the Cheto Darpana marginal effect, but simultaneously we're fighting with our Kali Yuga anarthas, right? But then the process of Krishna consciousness purifies the mind to the degree that you start to acquire a different set of sense objects. The sense of sense, the sense of the set of sense objects that now we are trying to be attached to are things which are been offered to us as remnants from the Vaishnavas, right? And it's only by the mercy of the Vaishnavas that we're able to receive this kind of change of consciousness and change of mind. Right? That's the reason why we're able to receive all these things. We're able to see, but at the same time, we're fighting our inner demons. Right? But then it's the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he came to give the highest thing to the lowest people. So as we practice the highest thing given to the lowest people like us, as we continue to practice the highest thing, then eventually as our practice comes to perfection, then our Shrotra, Chakshu, Sparshanam, all these, Sparshanam, Rasanam, Grahnam, Evacha, Adhishtaya Manashayam, right? Our sense of ears, touch, our sense of sight, our sense of taste, and all this, everything that we're attracted to, and everything centering upon the mind becomes so purified that we can accept only transcendental things favorable to our Krishna consciousness. That is what the Vaishnavas do. That is why Lord Vishnu is saying this about the Vaishnavas. If I worship the Vaishnavas, why would any idiot disrespect them? Because that is what a Vaishnava does. A Vaishnava like Srila Prabhupada is so powerful that he can just, some yogis, they can expand into 8 forms, right? And when they expand into 8 forms, they all have to act the exact same way. But a Vaishnava like Srila Prabhupada is so powerful that he can expand himself into millions and millions of books. And he can preach to every living entity however the heck he wants, according to the time. Everything. Srila Prabhupada is that Vaishnava. That is the Vaishnava. Right? And the Vaishnava who follows such a Vaishnava is a great Vaishnava. Hmm? So we can see this whole Salem project is simply for Guru Maharaj to execute Srila Prabhupada's order that such qualified, these are real Brahmanas. These are real Brahmanas. Hmm? The real Brahmanas, they actually show us what is real Krishna consciousness, how we can apply and practice Krishna consciousness. And we like punks, like, yeah, we're the best, we're the best. We're like chimpanzees, yeah, we're the best distributing milk. We're like chimpanzees going in there. But you go, these are actual, not just human beings, these are Brahmana Vaishnavas. It's very amazing, actually. So we see that, right? And that's why Krishna is saying what he's saying. Now, why are the Vaishnavas so glorified? Now let's look at this. This is the rubbery section of the milk here. Whoops, what was that sound? Did this computer make that sound?
No, there's my water bottle.
Oh wow, that's an interesting sound. Okay, so we see over here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's very ecstatic verse. Okay, this verse is ecstatic; it might kill you. It's a really ecstatic verse. I hope I remember the verse number. Right? Boom. Uh, no, no, no. They're all ecstatic, but wait. I think. Wait, you know what? I'll look it up. I'll look it up. It's very amazing. Mhm. Oh, sorry. I got it. I got the numbers wrong. So we see over here, this is a very amazing verse. Okay. So, Nirapeksha Munim Shantam Nirvairam Samadarshanam Anuvrajam Yaham Nityam Puye Yatyangri Renubihi. Same, we have the same word here. Okay, Angri here. And then in today's verse, also we have, I think I saw it, yeah, Angri here. Okay. So, with the dust of my devotee, this is Krishna, Uddhava, Krishna speaking to Uddhava, okay? With the dust of my devotees' lotus feet, I desire to purify the material world, which are situated within me. Thus, I always follow the footsteps of my pure devotees, who are free from personal desire, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, peaceful, without any feelings of enmity, and equal disposition to everyone. So this verse is amazing, but it's Madhvacharya's purport which will actually kill us. Right? Look at this. Let me. Oh, I'll read the whole thing, and then we'll come to the punchline. Okay. Just as the devotees always follow the footsteps of Lord Krishna, similarly, Lord Krishna, being a devotee of his devotees, follows the footsteps of his devotees. A pure servitor of the Lord is always meditating on the pastimes of the Lord and considering how to assist him in his mission. All the material universes are situated in Sri Krishna's body, as demonstrated to Arjuna, Mother Yashoda, and others. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore there is no question of impurity in the Lord. Still, the Lord desires to purify the universe is situated within him by taking the dust of the lotus feet of his pure devotees. Without the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees, it is not possible to engage in pure devotional service, without which one cannot directly experience transcendental bliss. Now look at this. This is Madhvacharya, and this is it. Okay. Okay. Lord Krishna thought, I have established this strict rule that one can enjoy my transcendental bliss only through devotional service obtained from the dust of the lotus feet of my devotees. Since I also desire my own bliss, I will observe the standard procedure and accept the dust of my devotees' lotus feet. Srila Madhvacharya points out that Lord Krishna follows the footsteps of his devotees in order to purify them. As the Lord walks along behind his devotees, the wind blows the dust of the Lord's lotus feet in front of the devotees, who then become purified by the contact with such transcendental dust.
Whoa.
One should not foolishly look for material logic in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. It's simply a question of love between the Lord and his devotees. So now that is really, really fired up. That is so amazing. That Krishna is following the devotees, and then the wind carries the dust of Krishna's lotus feet, and then that wind goes ahead and sanctifies everything else. Because Krishna is so attracted to his devotees. Right? Krishna is so attracted to his devotees. That's why Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajanayanu Kula Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi Prema Lati Karamula. That we say that we take the Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu, we take the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees. Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu. And then we do our bhajan like that. Bhakata Seva Parama Siddhi. What is the topmost perfection, my friends? Is the topmost perfection to be the ruler of the greatest kingdom in the whole world that ever existed? Is it to be the richest person? Is it to be the most beautiful, the most opulent? Is it to be Lord Vishnu? No. The topmost perfection, Parama Siddhi, is Prema Bhakta Seva Parama Siddhi. The service to the devotees is the topmost perfection. Right? I guess I'm going to quote this verse. Majjarmana phalamidam madhukaita bhare mad prataniya vadunugraha esha eva tvadbhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya timam smaralokanatha. Tapas Prabhu gets a kick out of making fun of me for quoting this verse. But the Kulashekar Alvar says, what is the perfection of life? The perfection of life is to be the servant of 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 the Supreme Lord. Remove it 8 times, right? So that is the perfection, right? And then we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Bhakata Pada Duli Ar, Bhakata Pada Renu, Bhakata Bhukta Ava Shesha, Tina Mahabal, right? I think I got one word wrong in that verse. Let's look at it. It's a very ecstatic verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Uh, you see this? Hmm. Sorry. Mhm. Oh. So we see this verse. It's a very important verse. Krishna speaks about the three most powerful things in the world. What are the three most powerful things? Like the Brahmastra, Pashupatastra, and the Agnayastra? No. Bhakta Pada Dhuli Ar Bhakta Pada Jal. Bhakta Book. Oh, yeah, I said it. Oh, I said, quoted it. Okay. Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha Tina Mahabha. The dust of the devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are three very powerful substances. Amazing, huh? What are the three most powerful things? The dust of a devotee, the water that has washed the lotus feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are three very powerful substances. Etina seva haite Krishna prema hai punah punah sarva shase pukariya kai. By rendering service to these three, one attains the supreme goal of ecstatic love for Krishna. In all the revealed scriptures, this is loudly declared again and again. Tate bara bara kahi shuna bhaktagan vishwasa kariya kare etina sevan. Therefore, my dear devotees, please hear from me. For I insist again and again, please keep faith in these three and render service unto them without hesitation. Right? And then that goes into another section, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is very, very amazing. It's a very ecstatic thing. And now we may wonder, what is, this lotus feet of the pure devotees? What's all this about? What's the big deal about? I'm sorry, did I share my screen? Yes, is my screen sharing?
No,
Oh,
I don't think so.
I'm sorry, I completely spaced out. Anyway, I tried to show it. You can just see it here. I'll just show you the verse here. So yeah, this is the verse. Sorry, the verse before this. Okay, this is the verse I was quoting, Bruce. Uh, yeah, there you go. Bhakta pada dhuli ar bhakta pada jal bhakta bhukta avashesha tina mahabal. The dust of the devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are three very powerful substances, right? So we should remember this. This is a very amazing thing. And now we may wonder what is so amazing about. Whoa, sorry. Okay, but what is so amazing about the lotus feet of a pure devotee? I'll just like to read a small section of from Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava, and uh, after I can end with that. So I'll just copy paste it onto notes. Okay, and then we can see it from here. Okay, is this visible? Can we read clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, so look at this. Only those who have descended from the spiritual stratum can speak about it. No one in this world can speak about the spiritual plane. When the living entities are fortunate enough to hear about the realm from persons who have come from there, they gain the opportunity to know about Vaikuntha.
Oh,
We
it's showing a
cannot.
different screen.
Oh, is it?
It's
Okay,
showing the dust of the lotus feet of the devotee verse.
thank you. Okay, is this better? Yeah, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. We cannot understand transcendental topics by mundane consideration. It is not possible to compromise between the transcendental and the phenomenal. If we are fortunate, we will meet a Vaikuntha man. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Dev states in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna yadi kripa kare kona bhagyavan gudu antaryami rupe shikai apan. So we see that this is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then this is very, very amazing. Okay, so we hear many times that there is no higher mantra than the lotus feet of the Guru, and we can see why that is the case over here. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, "It is not that Sri Mati Radharani is not present. Even now, we can attain her lotus feet and service. If we can see the beauty of Sri Radharani's toenails in our spiritual master's lotus feet, we will no longer think about where to find her. If we are fortunate enough, we can attain service to and darshan of Sri Radharani's lotus feet in the darshan of our spiritual master's lotus feet, because he is not different from Sri Radha and very dear to her. Now, do we understand why Krishna loves the Vaishnavas so much? Hmm? Because he's not different from Srimati Radharani, being very dear to her. That is why Krishna loves the Vaishnavas so much. In Madhurya Rasa, the spiritual master is an intimate Sakhi of Sri Radharani. He is not different from the daughter of Rishabhanu. Only the sincere disciples of a spiritual master in Madhurya Rasa can attain darshan of the beauty of Sri Radharani's toenails through the form of their guru. Only those close shishyas of a spiritual master can realize that he is a manifestation of and thus non different from the daughter of King Rishabhanu Sri Radha. So that is fired up. That is really amazing quote from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that is the reason why, the spiritual master is so dear to Krishna. The Vaishnavas are so dear to Krishna. So we can, if we are fortunate, we can get these three powerful substances. Bhakta Pada Renu Ar, Bhakta Pada Jal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha Tina Mahabal. We can get the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees, the water that has washed the lotus feet of the devotees, and eat the remnants left by the pure devotees. And when we do that, that is a perfection of our life. We don't want anything else, we don't need anything else. And by following this perfectly, purely, then we'll attain the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I'll end the class over here. If there's any questions or comments or protests, we could take them now. Yes, Rishuk.
I didn't raise my hand.
Oh,
If
okay.
the devotees have any questions, I'm eager to hear them and hear the answer to them.
Okay. Anything? Charu, Yatish, Chandan. All right. So, Jai. So, thank you all for your kind attention. Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.
Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.